In the past few weeks, the price of Bitcoin has kind of gone over the previous all-time high. In just 1 hour, we saw more than a 10x come in. So the site had some visual problems and other issues like that. But it didn't change any of the things that were held below. We're really depending on people now, and not just people who use the Coinbase app. Big financial companies are building on top of our infrastructure, which is a bad thing. To get to the next level, we need to keep putting money into that infrastructure. Brian Armstrong talks about how important it is to keep the US dollar's value high and keep Western society's progress going. He also talks about the need for a way to stop spending too much and inflation being too high. He thinks this is a patriotic task that is necessary for the economy of the United States to stay stable. Armstrong says that when the US dollar stopped being tied to the gold standard in 1971, it was a turning point that let inflation get out of hand. He talks about the issues the US has had since then. When Armstrong talks about why he chose to open a Coinbase store in the United States, it's clear that he believes the country is great. In order to show how dangerous an unchecked dollar supply is, he compares it to how countries fell because of bad money management and the loss of currency. Where the reserve is, Armstrong wants people to trust the banking system and likes Bitcoin because it is hard to get and is based on science. Armstrong also doesn't like how a small group of people controls interest rates and the amount of money in circulation. He compares this to a ring of power that can be abused. Armstrong thinks the American financial system is broken and wants a digital dollar and the use of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin to protect the economy. He knows that people like Jerome Powell can make mistakes because the system is broken. He thinks that cryptocurrencies are important for the US economy to stay strong. We are now going to show you parts of one of Armstrong's most recent talks. Please click like and subscribe if you like the video so you can see more like it. Thanks, and have fun with the movie. The subject is crypto. It's just such a big word. There are a lot of different ways that crypto can be used to make the banking system more modern, and lots of different things have been built. But let's start with Bitcoin, which was the first and most important thing that crypto could build. For Bitcoin, you should just think of it as money that you eat. It is not organized. That means it's not run by a country or company. In that way, it's a bit like gold. It's true that there is no central power. So it's not centralized. Just like gold, it's clearly hard to get. It's being used as a new kind of digital money by many people. That in and of itself is a very big step forward. It began this whole business. We can talk about some of the other things that have happened since then, but I believe that is a good beginning remark. It seems like crypto is just as important an idea as the internet itself. And it really is a big step forward in computer science. The study paper or white paper on Bitcoin that was released was written by an unknown person. We don't even know who wrote it, which is an interesting subject in and of itself. But if we did know, I'm pretty sure that person would have won the Turing Award, which is like the Nobel Prize for computer science. To give you a simple idea of the big step forward in computer science that it was, think about how easy it was to make copies of things in the digital world before that paper. Okay, so, if I take a picture with my phone, I can send it to you, my mom, or anyone else. You are free to make as many copies of that picture as you want. There is a way to have a digital thing that is proven to be unique in the Bitcoin white paper. You have a great idea there. Now you can apply scarcity and start to represent assets like money, digital gold, commodities, stocks, and so on. You can digitize these things in a way that makes them provably unique. It can't just be copied over and over again. It really opened up a new world where people can buy and sell crypto, store it safely, and use it for more and more things. So I'd like to talk briefly about the trade point, since that's usually how people get involved for the first time. They need to buy some of it to get a feel for it and start using it. As a result, all an exchange does is keep track of the people who want to buy or sell a certain cryptocurrency at any given time. You are also making an order book. It's kind of like the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange. In this order book, they're called bids and asks, if you know what I mean. People will buy something when someone is willing to pay more than someone is willing to sell it for. This is called a price crossing. Because of this, running a trade is one of the things we do. In this video, Brian Armstrong talks about how cryptocurrency has grown and changed since 2014. He talks about the huge rise in users over the years and says that there are real worries about the spread of cryptocurrencies, like the fact that they can't be used for everyday things like grocery shopping. He talks about how much better it is now that people are using the app. Armstrong says that about 400 million people around the world, including about 52 million Americans, use cryptocurrency. It's a very high level of acceptance, especially in new areas and when shopping online. Armstrong says the history of coin acceptance is like the early days of the internet, when people messed around with domain names for fun and in the hopes that they would be worth something one day. As someone who is just starting to learn about cryptocurrencies, he talks about the different steps they take to make it easy to pay for things. All of these are ways to get money through faster and cheaper. Besides that, he talks about new ways to use coins, such as NFTs, non-fungible tokens for digital art, and decentralized social media sites that users can directly make money from the posts they make. The market is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. These things are always being traded by people. All of these investments, especially Bitcoin, have been pretty unstable over the last 10 years. It is a new type of object. But I think it's become less unpredictable over the last 10 years. When you look at the extremes, like the peak and the fall, it's partly because more and more people are trading it now. At this point, about 52 million Americans have used crypto, and I think it was the best performing asset class over the last 10 years, or even the 3, 5, and 10 years before that. So that's pretty cool. There have been big ups and downs, but it all began with small changes, and now it's the asset class that's doing the best. Having all of my family running around the house can make me feel a little stressed out sometimes. For some reason, I went back to my room and began reading on the internet. I came across this Bitcoin white paper by chance. Also, it's pretty deep, as you said. Don't forget that I had a master's degree in computer science. You are also the son of 2 engineers. In other words, you grew up in a home where this kind of thing was normal. I had read study papers in college, and I had a bachelor's degree in economics. This is what I knew, but it's pretty deep. It felt like thick paper, even to me. But I remember having this thought while I was reading it, this is really interesting. This could be the most important and interesting thing I've read in a long time. It talked about this crazy idea that since the internet is decentralized, no country rules it. That's really opened up the way we share information. But what if we had a decentralized system that made it easier for everyone to move money around? This brings us to the idea of digital goods being genuinely scarce. There's more than just facts that can be found anywhere. Its value, since each of these can be shown to be different. I remember having all of these thoughts. By the way, I had to read that paper again about 4 or 5 times. But I remember asking myself, would anyone really use this? Why would they believe it? Would the government try to stop it? Could the encryption have a flaw that would make the whole thing go wrong? It made me think about it all the time for about 6 months. Also, I began going to early Bitcoin meetups in the Bay Area. Also, if you want to talk about that, I can say that was a pretty cool experience. Okay, that was strange. I care a lot about this idea of economic freedom. Most people don't even know what that word means, but experts use it to talk about the different countries in the world. And they look at different things, like whether the currency is sound. Are there laws that protect property rights? How common are bribery and corruption, you ask? Do people have the right to free trade? It's all this weird stuff. I believe it's very important because it relates to the question of whether or not doing good things will reward me and allow me to keep the prize. Okay, and if that's true, like with property rights, then people will try to do more good things. And if you look at the numbers, this is strongly linked to the good things you want to see happen in society. So countries with a lot of economic freedom, they have more than just higher GDP growth and other things like that. Their people also say they are happier, they take better care of the environment, and the air is cleaner. Better schools and cleaner water. Okay. It's even linked to things like having less war. Also, and I had seen some of this. I lived in Buenos Aires, Argentina for a year and saw a country that used to be one of the top 10 in the world. It was like Paris in South America. And because of a string of bad decisions made by the government, it had dropped to about 120th place in the world. And this society was really broken because of things like high inflation, bribery, and not having any property rights. I mean, someone could take someone else's property at any time, and the poorest people's wealth was being taken away because they had cash on hand. So I kind of learned a lot from that and was really excited about it. I had also seen some of your talks with Milton Friedman and other people. Since this is what I thought when I first read the Bitcoin white paper, it did take me a little while. But I think what excited me about it, and what I was later able to say, was that I thought this might be the most important technology that could increase economic freedom around the world, because it would give anyone with a smartphone access to good financial infrastructure, no matter what country they live in or how corrupt the government is. This was becoming more and more true and would apply to everyone in the world. It is possible to get good money that can't be inflated away. You may be able to get property rights. And if we could build good banking systems in every country in the world, it would actually help everyone get out of poverty. there would be more new ideas. That made me really happy. What Brian Armstrong said about how cryptocurrencies are changing the financial world, how they are being used more, and how officials need to be clear was helpful. How do you see the challenges and chances that the cryptocurrency business has ahead of it, Scape? Share your thoughts below. Sign up for our channel to get more Bitcoin news if you learned anything from this talk. Thanks for seeing it.